The sky over New York City was clear when the Thiralian ship arrived. It did not come with weapons or noise. It floated down slowly like a silver petal, its surface shining with soft light. People stared, silent and unsure what to do. The government had already made contact months before. Now, the first meeting in person was finally happening. Ethan stood near the landing pad. He wasn't a soldier or a scientist. He worked as a culture guide, someone who helped new alien visitors understand Earth. He had studied alien languages, body gestures, and traditions. Still, nothing prepared him for this moment. The Thiralian ship opened with a gentle hiss. From inside, a tall figure stepped out. She had smooth blue skin with faint silver lines across her arms. Her eyes were wide and bright, and her long robes moved like water. Her name was Eliri, and she had been chosen by her people to study humans. She walked toward Ethan, her movements slow and graceful. The air around her carried a soft floral scent. It was how her species communicated emotions. Ethan smiled and bowed slightly. "Welcome to Earth," he said calmly. Aliari blinked slowly and tilted her head. She spoke using a translator device on her neck. "Thank you. I will begin observing." They walked side by side into the city's cultural center. Eliri looked around with curiosity. Humans laughed, shouted, ran, and waved their hands too much. Everything seemed fast and noisy to her. She kept close to Ethan, trusting his calm presence. Inside the center, Ethan showed her paintings, music, and food items from different countries. Eliri asked many questions. Why do humans place color on walls? What is music's function? Why do you make smells in round objects? She meant food. Ethan laughed gently. We eat for energy, but also for joy. Sometimes food carries memories. We share food to show care. Eliri noted everything in a small glowing book. She didn't eat yet. Thiralians needed time to adjust their bodies to alien bacteria. Ethan respected that. The next few days were full of learning. Eliri tried human greetings like handshakes and waves. She listened to songs and watched children play. She found some things strange, others amusing. She once asked, "Why do humans cover their feet but not their heads?" Ethan smiled and said, "Fashion maybe, or comfort." One day, Ethan brought a small box to the meeting room. "This is a simple gift," he said. "No pressure to try it?" Eliri opened the box and saw a small brown square. It had a sweet smell. "What is this object?" "It's called chocolate," Ethan said. "It's just candy. Some people love it, some don't. No meaning, only taste." Ellery sniffed it. Her eyes blinked fast. "This smell is unusual. I wish to understand." She placed a small bite on her tongue. Within seconds, her body stiffened. Colors on her skin shifted. The air around her changed scent sharply. The translator device flickered. Ethan stepped back. "Are you okay?" Eliri's breathing slowed. She stared at him. "This flavor holds layers, bitter, sweet, deep." She stood tall, placing her hand on his chest. "You are now bonded. I tasted the joining flavor. I declare you husband." Ethan blinked. "Wait, A staff member nearby dropped their tablet in shock. Aliari continued. "In our culture, tasting sacred flavors in the presence of another. It forms a link. Chocolate carries the meaning of bonding. You have given it freely. We are joined," Ethan stuttered. "I didn't know. I swear I didn't mean." "Intention is not required," Eliri said. "Only truth in action." Soon the room filled with officials and translators. Eliri calmly repeated her words. "This human gave the sacred flavor. I accepted. We are now life-matched." Ethan sat down, holding his head. "What have I done?" And that was the moment everything changed. News of what happened spread fast. The media called it the chocolate bond. Some people laughed. Others were confused. A few were angry, thinking it was a trick, but Ethan wasn't laughing. He was sitting in a quiet room, trying to understand everything. Aliari sat across from him, calm as always. Her skin still showed soft colors of peace. Her scent signals were gentle, meaning she felt relaxed. But her eyes stayed on him. She believed they were now linked. husband and wife by Thiralian tradition. I didn't mean to disrespect your culture, Ethan said again. On Earth, chocolate is just a sweet. People eat it all the time, Illyri nodded. Your meaning does not change the bond. Ah. People have ancient traditions. Flavors are not just food. They are signals of truth. Chocolate is sacred, only shared with a chosen one. But I didn't know, Ethan said. Your heart was honest. That is enough. Outside the room, human and Thiralian leaders argued. Earth's ambassador wanted to stop the bond. They feared it would lead to a misunderstanding or even a conflict. Thiralian elders, however, said the bond was final. To break it would insult their people deeply. The two races had come so close to peace. Now everything was hanging by a thread, all because of one piece of chocolate. Later that day, Illyri was called to speak with her elders through a glowing communication sphere. Ethan stayed silent nearby, listening. The elder's voice echoed softly. Illyri, have you bonded with the human by taste? Yes, she said. I accepted the sacred flavor. I declared the bond. Do you believe the human gave it knowingly? Illyri looked at Ethan. No, but his spirit was pure. He did not act in mockery. Then the bond is real, the elder said, but it is rare. No Thiralian has ever bonded with a human before. We must proceed with care. When the call ended, Illyri turned to Ethan. You may choose to walk away. Our laws allow freedom, but it will hurt. Ethan sat back, breathing slowly. Illyri, this is a lot. I didn't expect to be part of something like this. But I don't want to offend your people, and I like you. You've been kind, honest, and curious. Maybe this isn't a mistake. Maybe it's just strange timing. Illyri blinked, her eyes softer than before. You speak with balance. That is rare. So what happens now? Ethan asked. We begin the bond trial, a time of learning. Path to see if we match truly. Over the next few days, Ethan and Illyri were given private space to talk and understand each other. They shared stories of childhood, family, and values. Illyri showed Ethan her way of thinking, slow, careful, and full of meaning. She explained how her people viewed the world through layers of feeling and connection. Ethan taught her jokes, old movies, and music. Illyri didn't laugh much, but she was curious about everything. She asked him why humans enjoyed stories where people cry. Ethan said, because pain sometimes brings people closer. Illyri nodded. We call that the turning scent. The moment two become one. Meanwhile, both governments watched closely. The Thiralian media called Ethan the sweet bonded one. Human reporters called Illyri the chocolate bride. People argued online. Some thought it was romantic, others called it foolish. But deep inside the cultural center, the two of them didn't focus on that noise. They just kept talking. One night, as they stood under the stars on the rooftop garden, Ethan offered Illyri another small piece of chocolate. Again? She asked. This time you can say no, he said. I took the piece and smiled softly. I accept, not by tradition, but by choice. As the stars above blinked in silence, something simple and powerful passed between them. It wasn't just about a flavor anymore. It was about trust. And the galaxy, watching from far and near, had no idea what this bond would lead to. The next morning, Ethan was called into the great hall of the cultural center. Thiralian symbols floated across the walls and soft lights moved like waves across the ceiling. Officials from both Earth and Thiralia were seated in rows, silent and watching. Ri stood near a glowing platform. Her robes were now darker in color, which meant seriousness in her culture. She didn't smile, but when Ethan entered, her eyes softened for a moment. A Thiralian elder spoke first. The bond between Illyri and the human called Ethan has not been broken. Therefore, as tradition demands, the bond trial must begin. Ethan stepped forward. What's the bond trial? The elder replied, 3 tests, not of power but of spirit. If he passes, the bond will be honored. If he fails, the bond fades? Quietly, no shame, but no union. Earth's ambassador looked nervous but didn't speak. The room was under Thiralian rule now, at least for this part. Ri turned to Ethan. You do not have to do this. I want to, he said. The first test was patience. Ethan was placed in a circular room made of smooth stone. Nothing was inside, no chair, no window, not even a clock. The lights changed slowly, and he had no idea how long he had to stay. A voice spoke gently. You will be observed. You must not ask questions. Do not leave. Do not sleep. Ethan nodded and sat on the floor. At first, it was easy. He thought about songs, stories, and O'Leary's scent that always reminded him of spring. Hours passed. His back hurt, his legs ached, but he stayed still. At one point, he thought he heard the door open. Someone whispered his name. He didn't move. He remembered what O'Leary had said. Our people test the mind before the heart. Finally, the door opened. A Thiralian elder walked in and said, You have passed. The second test was matching. Scent. Thiralians use smell to share emotions. It was part of how they built trust. Ethan was taken into a room with many soft glowing jars. Each held a different scent. O'Leary had placed her own scent in one of them earlier. Find hers, the elder said, not by memory, but by feeling. Ethan moved slowly. Some jars smelled like fire, others like cold stone or dry air. One reminded him of night wind, another of metal. Then he found a jar that smelled like early spring, rain, and something warm. His chest felt calm. This one, he said. Aliari walked in and smiled. That is correct, the elders nodded. His spirit listens. The third test was the hardest, the test of truth. Ethan stood in front of a small audience, including O'Leary, and had to answer questions with complete honesty. If his words did not match the truth signals read by Thiralian devices, he would fail. Why did you give her chocolate? One elder asked. I just wanted to share something simple. I thought it might bring a smile. Did you ever want to use the bond? To gain power? No, Ethan said firmly. I didn't even want attention. I just wanted to do my job. Do you care for O'Leary now? Ethan looked at her. Yes, I do. The device glowed softly. He had passed. Aliari stepped forward. The trials are complete. His words and actions are clear. The main elder stood. By our ways, the bond is now true. Not by accident, but by choice. A soft bell rang in the room. It was the Thiralian sound for agreement and peace. Later that evening, O'Leary and Ethan sat on the balcony, watching the sky turn orange. I didn't expect to pass all that, Ethan said. I did. O'Leary said softly, You really trust me that much? Yes, and now others will begin to trust you too. He looked at her. So what happens now? She smiled just a little. Now, we learn to walk as one. And in that quiet moment, without cameras or speeches, a new chapter between their two worlds quietly began. The bond was official now. Ethan had passed the trials, and O'Leary had accepted him again, not as a stranger, but as her chosen. The Thiralian elders approved, and the ceremony was held in private. Both Thiralians and humans believed it was better to keep things quiet. But the outside world didn't stay quiet. News channels all over Earth were filled with headlines. Alien declares human her husband. Earth-man bonds with Thiralian envoy. Love, mistake, or political risk? Images of Ethan and O'Leary walking side by side spread fast. People argued online. Some were happy, calling it a new kind of peace. Others were scared, saying Earth had given up too much. They didn't understand the bond. And what people don't understand, they fear. Inside the cultural center, Ethan looked at the news screen. They're calling me a traitor, he said quietly. I sat beside him, calm. Do you regret the bond? No, he answered. But I didn't expect all this. People are scared. They think I gave away Earth's future for a candy bar. O'Leary tilted her head. Then we show them the truth. Soon, both Ethan and O'Leary were asked to attend interviews. It was part of an effort by both governments to control the growing pressure. The first one was with a human reporter known for sharp questions. So, the reporter began, staring at Ethan. You gave a piece of chocolate and got yourself a wife. How do you respond to that? Ethan kept his voice steady. I gave it as a friendly gesture. I didn't expect anything. But I respect their culture, and I chose to follow their path. The reporter turned to O'Leary. Did you trap him with your traditions? Illyri's eyes stayed calm. Thiralians do not trap, we bond through meaning. Chocolate is sacred to us. I accepted him because his actions were true. The reporter raised her eyebrows. And you think this will work? Two completely different beings from different worlds? Illyri looked at Ethan. Yes, because we chose each other. The interview ended, but it didn't change everyone's mind. Protests started outside the center. Signs read, "Humans belong with humans, and no alien bonds." Some threw objects at the walls. Others chanted loudly. Inside, Ethan felt the weight of it all. Maybe this bond is too strange for them, he said one night. Sitting on the floor with his head in his hands, Illyri sat beside him. Do you believe we made a mistake? He looked at her slowly. No, but I think the world isn't ready. Then we wait, she said gently, and we stay strong. The next morning, things got worse. Someone hacked into Thiralian systems and tried to send false messages claiming Ethan was using Illyri for secrets. It was stopped in time, but damage was done. Trust had been shaken. The Thiralian elders called for a private meeting. They spoke in calm voices, but their eyes showed concern. The human's presence is creating unrest. One said, he did not cause this, Illyri replied. Fear did. Even so, another elder said, perhaps distance is needed. Let the bond rest. Let the world adjust. Illyri turned to Ethan, her voice firm. Will you leave if they ask? Ethan stood straight. If you ask me to leave, I will, but if you want me here, I'll stay. No matter the noise outside, Illyri turned back to the elders. Then he stays. If the world is not ready, we will. Help it become ready. And so Illyri and Ethan stayed out of the public eye for a while. They worked quietly in the center, learning more about each other's worlds. Illyri painted pictures of human streets. Ethan tried writing words in Thiralian. Script. Their bond became stronger not in loud speeches but in small moments, sharing tea, fixing broken devices, watching stars in silence. Months passed. Slowly, people's voices changed. The protests became fewer. Some human scientists began studying. Thiralian sent language. Others asked to learn about Thiralian bonding culture. Schools invited Ethan to talk about his experience, not as a hero, but as a person who tried to understand. And one day, Illyri stood before a room full of human and alien students and said, this bond started with chocolate, but it grew through patience, respect, and truth. If we can do it, maybe others can too. And they listened. Months after the bond had become known, Ethan and Illyri received an unexpected invitation. The Thiralian High Council had asked them to join a diplomatic mission to a distant star system. This days passed quickly after. The threat was removed. The outpost began to return to its usual calm, but Ben and Rhea knew things had changed forever. One morning, Rhea came to Ben's quarters carrying a small box wrapped in delicate fabric. Her eyes held a soft light Ben had not seen before. This is for you, she said quietly. Ben opened the box carefully. Inside was a small glowing stone, a gift from the Nellory, symbolizing trust and friendship. Thank you, Rhea, Ben said, touched. I will keep it safe. Rhea smiled gently. Our bond is stronger now. As they shared this moment, Ben thought about how their story had begun, with simple drops of things falling slowly to the floor. Remember how you kept dropping things? Ben joked. Rhea laughed softly. I was afraid. I didn't know if I could trust anyone here. Now we do, Ben said. Just then, a message arrived from Nilari Command. Rhea was called back to her people to report on the mission's success. Will you come back? Ben asked. Rhea looked at him with warmth. Perhaps? This is not the end. She bent down slowly one last time to pick up a small tool she had dropped, and smiled. Ben laughed, feeling a mix of joy and sadness. As Rhea left the outpost, Ben stood watching the stars. He felt proud to have been part of something greater, a bridge between worlds and somewhere far away. Rhea thought of Ben too. Knowing their paths would cross again, I was important. It would show the galaxy that humans and Thiralians could work together. Their bond, once a cause of confusion, was now a symbol of unity. Ethan felt nervous. He was just a culture guide, not a diplomat or soldier. Illyri, however, was calm and ready. "This is our chance," she said. "To prove that the bond means more than tradition, it means hope." They boarded the sleek silver ship named Lumina, designed for long voyages between stars. Inside, the ship was quiet except for the hum of engines and soft light panels that changed color with the crew's moods. The mission was clear: travel to the system called Varos, where a tense group of alien races had refused to join the Galactic Council. Their leaders mistrusted humans and Thuralians. Ethan and Illyri's job was to build trust and open talks. As the ship left Earth's orbit, Ethan looked out the window at the shrinking blue planet. "I never imagined my life would lead here," he said. Illyri smiled. "Sometimes the smallest actions have the biggest effects." During the journey, they spent time preparing speeches and learning about Varos cultures. Illyri shared stories of her people's ancient bonds, while Ethan taught her about human diplomacy and humor. They laughed over simple jokes, and their friendship grew stronger. But not everyone on the ship was happy. Some crew members whispered doubts. A Thuralian named Vesher, proud and cold, disliked Ethan's presence. He thought humans were weak and untrustworthy. "How can you accept a human as your mate?" Vesher asked Illyri one day in private. "Our traditions demand strength and honor." Illyri answered calmly, "Strength is in truth and choice. Ethan has both." Vesher sneered but said no more. One night, while Ethan and Illyri rested in their cabin, alarms suddenly blared. The ship shook violently. Lights flickered. "What's happening?" Ethan shouted. Illyri checked the controls. "We are under attack. Unknown ships are surrounding us." The ship's commander ordered evasive maneuvers. Ethan and Illyri held hands tightly, the bond between them giving comfort and fear. The attacking ships were fast and armed. Laser blasts hit the hull, and sparks flew inside the corridors. The crew worked quickly to repair damages and fight back. Illyri moved to the control room, helping with shields. Ethan joined the communications team, trying to send distress signals during the fight. Vesher appeared at their door, holding a weapon. "This is your fault," he hissed at Ethan. "Your bond brings shame and weakness." Ethan stood firm. "I am here to protect everyone, including you." Vesher hesitated, then lowered the weapon. "For now." After a long battle, the attackers finally retreated. The ship was damaged, but still functional. No one was seriously hurt. The crew gathered in the main hall, exhausted but united. I looked at Ethan and said, "Your courage saved us all." "Not just mine," Ethan smiled tiredly. "We did it together." The incident changed how many saw their bond. Even Vesher nodded in respect. When the ship reached Varos, Ethan and Illyri were greeted with suspicion but also curiosity. Their story of survival and trust spread quickly. They met the leaders of Varos, fierce and proud beings who tested their words and intentions. During long talks, Ethan and Illyri showed how different worlds could understand each other. Illyri explained the Thuralian bond and its meaning. Ethan spoke of human respect and honesty. Slowly, the Varos leaders softened. They agreed to join the Galactic Council, inspired by the example of Ethan and Illyri. As the mission ended, Ethan and Illyri stood on the bridge. "Watching the stars, we faced danger," Ethan said, "but our bond held strong." Illyri nodded. "We are proof that two worlds can become one." And far away, the galaxy watched and wondered what this new union would bring next. After the successful mission to Varos, Ethan and Illyri became well-known figures across the galaxy. Their bond was no longer a secret or a joke. It had become a symbol of peace and hope between humans and Thuralians. Leaders from many worlds asked to meet them. Invitations arrived daily, asking them to share their story and guide talks for peace. But with fame came new challenges. Some powerful leaders felt threatened by this unusual union. They worried that if humans and Thuralians worked closely, their own influence would weaken. Whispers of jealousy and fear spread through the Galactic Council chambers. One of the most vocal was the warlord Krath, a strong and proud alien from the Sarnic system. He believed strength came from power and weapons, not bonds or words. Krath saw Ethan and Illyri as weak, and he plotted to undermine them. Back on Earth, Ethan felt the weight of his new role. He no longer lived a simple life. Every decision he made was watched. The media often twisted his words, and some people still questioned the bond. Aliari stood by him quietly. "You carry the hopes of two worlds," she said gently, "but you are not alone." One evening, as Ethan prepared a speech for the Galactic Council, Illyri entered the room with urgent news. "Krath is moving his fleet toward Earth's border," she said. "He wants to scare the humans and Theralians." Ethan frowned. "Is he planning to attack?" Illyri shook her head. "Not yet, but his presence alone is a threat. It could start a war if we are not careful." They called a meeting with the council leaders. Illyri spoke with calm authority, explaining the importance of peace and unity. "Our bond shows what is possible when two different worlds choose trust over fear," she said. "We must not let threats divide us." Krath's representative answered, "Strength must be respected. Weakness invites chaos." Ethan stood up. "Strength is more than weapons. It is in courage, honesty, and connection. If we do not listen to each other, we lose everything." The council was divided. Some agreed with Ethan and Illyri. Others feared Krath's power. In the following days, Krath's fleet remained near Earth, sending warning signals. The galaxy watched nervously. Amid this tension, Ethan and Illyri continued their work. They visited different worlds, building friendships and sharing knowledge. Illyri showed how Theralian-sent communication could help resolve conflicts peacefully. Ethan taught about human cooperation and respect. Their bond grew stronger, tested by pressure and fear. Late at night, they often sat together, holding hands and sharing hopes for a peaceful future. One day, Krath challenged Ethan to a public debate on the galactic stage. It was a test of words and will. Ethan accepted, knowing this was a chance to prove the power of unity. The hall was packed. Leaders from many planets gathered, watching closely. Krat spoke first, his voice booming. "Humans and Theralians are weak because they rely on strange bonds. Power comes from fear and strength. I will protect my people with force." Then Ethan spoke. His voice was calm but firm. "Strength is not just in weapons or fear. It is in the courage to build trust, even with those who seem different. Our bond shows that connection is stronger than division." Illyri stood beside him, adding, "Fear destroys worlds. Understanding builds them." Their words moved many. Even some of Krath's supporters nodded quietly. After the debate, Krath left the council with a warning, but his power was less certain. The galaxy's attention shifted toward peace. Still, threats remained. Small attacks happened on trade routes. Spies tried to steal secrets. Ethan and Illyri knew their journey was far from over, but they faced the future together. "Stronger than ever, whatever comes," Ethan said one night. "We will stand united." Illyri smiled softly. "Because our bond is more than tradition. It is a promise." And under the vast stars, their promise shone bright, a light in the dark, a hope for all. The galaxy watched closely as Ethan and Illyri's bond grew stronger with every passing day. What once seemed strange and uncertain had become a symbol of hope for many worlds. Their story inspired new friendships and changed old fears into trust. But change is never easy. Krath's power was fading, but his followers still sought to challenge the new peace. Small conflicts flared here and there. Tensions rose between races that once fought bitterly. But Ethan and Illyri faced every challenge together, their bond a steady light. One day, the Galactic Council called a special meeting. Leaders from all corners of the galaxy gathered on a shining space station that floated above a blue and green planet. Ethan and Illyri stood side by side as the council announced a new plan, a united alliance of many worlds, built on trust, respect, and cooperation. It was called the Galactic Bond. Illyri spoke to the crowd. "Our bond began with a simple taste, chocolate, but it grew through patience, courage, and choice. This alliance is proof that even the smallest actions can change the future." Ethan added, "We are not just two beings from different worlds. We are a promise that understanding can overcome fear." The crowd erupted in applause. Many leaders signed the alliance agreement. pledging to work together for peace. After the ceremony, Ethan and Illyri found a quiet place on the station's balcony. The stars stretched endlessly before them. "Do you remember when I tasted that?" "Chocolate?" Illyri asked softly. Ethan smiled. "How could I forget? It changed everything." Illyri reached for his hand. It was more than a taste. It was the start of something new. "Something no one expected," Ethan said, "but I'm glad it did." They looked out at the galaxy, knowing their journey was far from over. New worlds needed help. Old wounds needed healing. But now they faced the future as partners, not just in bond, but in heart. Years passed. Ethan and Illyri continued to travel together, sharing stories and building bridges between planets. Their bond inspired others to form new connections. And slowly the galaxy grew closer. One evening on a quiet planet covered in soft blue grass, Ethan knelt before Illyri. He held a small ring made of shining metal from Earth and crystals from Theralia. "Illyri," he said, "you chose me with a taste, but I choose you with all my heart. Will you marry me, not by tradition, but by love?" Illyri's eyes filled with light. She smiled and nodded. "Yes, Ethan, forever." They stood and embraced, the stars above shining brighter than ever. Their story, which began with a simple piece of chocolate, became a legend, a tale of courage, respect, and the power of choice. Two beings from different worlds, united not by chance, but by trust. And in the vast galaxy, their bond was a light, guiding all toward peace, understanding, and hope.